Ah, good. I was hoping you'd show up. Lyris was right. This camp is crawling with the Ice Reach Coven. And they're definitely producing the medallions here. I was even able to slip away with one. There's more to figuring out this magic than just watching from afar. I need to know exactly how they go about creating them. With your help, we can learn everything about that here in this camp. It's a landing site for the boats coming from the island of Ice Reach. Plus, they're collecting something here that goes into the process of creating the medallions. If you can get me to the center of the camp, I can learn what that is. Determining how they create these medallions will be an enormous help. The Grey Host has accelerated their plans. They need more medallions for a reason. A big harrow storm is coming. We need to be ready. Because the Grey Host is guarding something down there. I couldn't get close, but it appeared that they built the camp to surround something. Plus, I heard a few of the witches talking. Complaining, really, about needing to prepare more medallions. Corpses? What do they have to do with the medallions? Let's examine the nearby graveyard. Examine the headstones. Let's determine what's so special about the exhumed bodies. There must be something that connects these graves to the medallions. Finished? Have you come to any conclusions? Well, we've both been over the headstones with a fine-toothed comb. If we can determine why the Coven dug up these particular bodies, it will tell us something about how the medallions were enchanted. Of course. Compare notes and look for commonalities. You have the makings of a fine scholar, my friend. Now, let's see. I noticed there were a mix of different races buried here. They weren't all Nords. Anything strike you about the departed? Really? What was that? They did. Of course. Why didn't I see that? The headstones on the exhumed graves all mentioned that the person was old when they died. Let me think. Some necrotic spells require the remains of the elderly. Something to do with the natural decay of life. According to one necromantic theory, the older a living thing becomes, the more necrotic energy it naturally acquires. As a body grows old and withers, the life inside it decays. Necrotic energy is the byproduct of this deterioration. I now know enough about how they create the medallions to move my research along. I'll return to the Blue Palace and start putting an elixir together. To fully craft an elixir to defend against the Hera storms, I still require a sample of refined netherroot brew. Plus, we need to determine what the Grey Host has planned. Help Lyris and Svanna at the other camps. Then meet me at the Blue Palace. I'm glad to hear it. That just leaves finding out what the Grey Host has planned. Go meet Svanna at the camp in Blackreach. I can't say I envy you. While Blackreach provides some fascinating points of study, the dangers appear overwhelming.
I came here to learn what the Grey Host has planned, and what did I find? Good citizens of the Holds, afflicted by the Harrow storms and kept prisoner for some ungodly purpose. No matter how many I set free, the Herald will not leave this place. That's all I've been doing, and trying to get these afflicted people to leave this place. The Herald, the storm robs them of their will, their minds. I wasn't able to slip deeper into the camp, though. Agreed. Came here to learn what the Grey Host has planned and what... That's all I've been. Agreed. As... rough as I... There, on the left.
Exarch Zingalis has fallen. I have never seen Rada El Saran, our Ashen Lord, so filled with sorrow, or such rage.
Does the loss of the Exarch alter our plans?
Not in the least. The strike on Solitude will occur as planned after Exarch Ulfra tests the improved ritual in the Undergrove.
An attack on Solitude? We need to move quickly. Look, on the scaffold. Let's eavesdrop on those werewolves.
I left the orders in my tent, but the Ashen Lord was clear. We need more netherroot. See to the Undergrove immediately.
As you command, Pentok.
The Undergrove? That sounds important. The Grey Host definitely has something big planned. Let's search the tents for a copy of those orders. That's what we were looking for. Let's talk over there. Orders from Rada al-Saran. His words sent a chill down my spine. Their plan for Solitude? It might even be more dreadful than an all-out attack. We need to get back and determine the exact location of this Undergrove place. You saw what happened at Kilcreath and Carthwatch. Whatever they have planned for Solitude, it sounds a whole lot worse. I wish we knew more about this Rada al-Saran and what drives him. A family of monsters? Who could imagine vampires and werewolves working together? Let alone talking about one another like brothers and sisters. It's not natural. Orders from Rada al-Saran. You saw what a fam. We came down here to find out what the Grey.
So, do we have a way to defend against the Harrow Storms, or what?
The elixir should do what we need, provided neither Fen nor I made any miscalculations.
Mjolin, don't be so Oh, good. You're back. Mjolin and I have been discussing the various ways to turn what we've got into a protective elixir. I'm hesitant to get too excited, but I think we've figured out how to defend against the Harrow Storms. The Grey Host uses an unstable mix of alchemy and sorcery to create the Harrow Storms. An arcane ritual and the Netherroot brew focus the power of each Harrow Storm through the prepared witch pikes. Ingenious, but fully exploitable. We can use the refined brew as the basis of our elixir. Now that we understand how the Harrow Storms are created, we can use those same components to replicate the medallion's protective properties. We just need to gather the necessary components. Svana's associate, Mog, will procure most of the supplies I need, but there's one final ingredient required. For various reasons, I can't simply walk into the Hall of the Dead and claim it myself. I need you to acquire Arkay's sacred oil. A holy ointment associated with a god that became popular due to imperial influence. It's used by the priests in the Hall of the Dead to provide protection against necromancy and the undead. We need that oil to create our elixir.
You'll need my help. I'll meet you at the Hall of the Dead. Mog, put away the tankard and get the supplies Fen requires.
Yes, your royal ladiness. Keeping the tankard.
Saves a ton of explanation.
Guards, more refugees arrive by the hour. Why does Fargrim hesitate?
The High King issues
Princess
orders,
Vana,
but all they do
what
is
can I
knock
do
away
for
the
you,
afflicted.
Your Highness?
When will we strike
Listen
back?
to my friend, High Priest. We need your help.
Sacred oil? Strange. That's the second time today someone has come seeking Arkay's anointing balm. Sword Thane Athlet arrived with an edict from the king. Demanded our entire supply. How we're to consecrate the dead without it, I have no idea. The Sword Thane wouldn't say. He just mentioned that the High King needed it to defend Solitude. I'm sorry I can't comply with the princess's request. Things are hard enough that these refugees must take shelter here among the dead. The Sword Thane took the oil to Castle Dower. That's where all the supplies for a siege are gathered during periods of strife. I pray that High King Svargrim receives the patience and wisdom required to see us through this crisis.
Hold! Castle Dower is... Princess Svana.
Sword Thane, our business is urgent. My friend will explain.
I don't have time for the princess's proclivities right now. The High King... We barely keep up with the multitude of tasks, so speak quickly and let me get back to it. My orders from the High King were clear. Stockpile the entire supply of sacred oil in the Temple of the Divines here within the confines of Castle Dower. What in Shore's name does the princess need with holy oil anyway? Protection? Truly? The Herald already outnumber my soldiers, and more arrive every day. Still, giving you the oil would violate the High King's edict. I suppose if I happen to look the other way for a moment, I wouldn't notice if a flask disappears.
A single flask? Fen will have to make do. Let's get it back to...
Sword Thane!
By his work! I gave strict orders, yet my daughter freely enters the castle grounds. What do they want, Sword Thane?
We came to offer our assistance, Father. Sword Thane, how can we help?
Athlet has everything well in hand, child. Despite your intentions, you would only hinder our efforts. Go! The Sword Thane doesn't need my daughter or her wastrel underfoot.
My father's never been what I'd call a warm and caring parent. But this crisis has made him even more distant. Let's get this sacred oil to Fen. My father will certainly change his attitude once we present the protective elixir to him. He's trying to protect me. It's what he does. And leave me out. Though I suppose that's mostly my own fault. I know Mother's death weighs on him, as does this entire crisis. That's why we have to help. This elixir is going to work. It has to. It's not that unusual. Castle Dower is the most defensible part of the city. In the past, we'd gather the people inside the walls. Now my father is using the fortress to house the Herald. They need to go somewhere, right? Come on, let's go.